Hi there. Welcome to this presentation by the one and only Cyber Sergeants. Today we aim to educate you on few security practices which can help you secure your businesses. The first question that comes to our mind would be why? Why do small businesses need cybersecurity? Business privacy, their clients' trust, their public reputation, financial and employee integrity and many other concerns make it necessary for these small businesses to adopt cybersecurity measures. Ever wondered why small businesses are more susceptible to cyber attacks compared to large established businesses? The answer to that is pretty obvious. Less secured networks, lower employee count and insufficient cyber trainings, minimal infrastructures. Keeping the network up to date with the latest updates is also a big challenge for businesses which are still in their early age of establishment, thus making them more vulnerable to attackers. Let us see what we will be covering today. We will cover the cyber challenges faced in the industry and few solutions for the same. Knowing the current pandemic situation, we will learn proper ways to work remotely. This is the perfect place if you are interested in some new affordable techniques that can help you secure your system. The following topics will be covered in today's presentation. Some terms might be too technical for you, but don't worry, we will try our best to simplify them for you. Ever thought what are the things that may harm your device? Malware is a blanket term that refers to all the malicious softwares in this world. As per a study, it is found that there are a lot of malware that exist or not known to anyone, same as the biological term virus. These are known as zero-day threats. Following are few examples of malware that you might be aware of. Keyloggers, viruses, trojans and spywares are the most common malwares used. These can be found in files downloaded from illegal and untrusted websites. Malwares can be silent and undetected like a Trojan, whereas they can help the attacker to access your webcam in case of spywares. Isn't it scary? Different malwares behave in a different way. Most of them are intended to steal your valuable information. This sensitive information can be on a personal, group or even organizational. Malwares like Trojan are smart. Trojans are silent, undetected, and clean. They live inside the host behaving as a good program, further creating a vulnerability for the user without him knowing. When large number of infected host machines, at the same time, send a connection request to the same server and confuse it from its intended use, this type of attack is known as denial of service. We can tell by the name that the user is unable to perform any service. Malwares responsible for these attacks are usually worms and botnets. Antivirus is a software which was designed to help computer against malware and cyber hackers. It analyzes the data which is in the form of web pages, files, applications, software that are commuting over the network. It usually monitors the behavior of all the programs for suspicious behavior and for known threats. Once aware of anything suspicious, it flags and removes the malware. The ability to gain access to a computer data or damage without the prior knowledge is the beauty of malware for attackers. It's imperative to be informed about the various types of malicious code scripts against which antivirus is being designed to protect. A good antivirus installed on your system can protect you from spywares, ransomwares, viruses, worms, trojans, and spams. Cloud computing is the on-demand availability of computer system resources, including data storage and computing power. The term is generally used to describe data centers available to many users over the internet. Cloud is the new savior for work from home. It forms a crucial part of the new technology frontier in Business 4.0. Cloud enables work from home at a minimal expenses. It is cost-efficient, fast, easy to control, reliable, flexible and providing access anywhere on the go. With so many advantages, people sometimes neglect the security problems with cloud. With off-premises infrastructure, power, storage, etc., everything that is provided by a third-party vendor, there are risks. The most common risks associated with the cloud consist of dependence on connectivity, less control over data flow, increased attack surface, lack of training, and interoperability. Cloud security consists of a broad spectrum of policies, applications, technologies to protect the customer data, services, and resources. These days, the cloud services provide enhanced security services, along with the regular cloud space. These security packages can be paid or free according to the cloud service provider. Remote access control allows you to access your business-located computer via a third-party software. It is like a mirror display of your office computer on your remote device. Clicking on a bad link in an email is probably the best-known way of getting infected with malware, but it's far from the only way. Nearly a third of ransomware was distributed via brute force and remote desktop protocol attacks, according to research by F-Secure. Thus, the cybersecurity risk of remote access are really high. Are you living with roommates, but using the same Wi-Fi network to do official work from home? Are you wondering that somehow, even after paying so much for the Wi-Fi, how come your speed is not even quarter of what promised? Anyone registered on your network can easily steal your bandwidth resources, and you won't even know. Netcut is an easy tool to perform that activity. You should always talk to your network provider if you think something is fishy. Try to manually configure your router network protocol settings to high standards. This way your network is more secure than the default settings. Netcut is a network tool that provides easy interface to control all your network devices. You can literally get the full bandwidth of all the devices on the network. It also provides a network defender which helps you to avoid these bandwidth attacks. It provides cost-effectiveness, ease of download, operation, and management. Phishing is a type of attack that deludes an individual or a group of individuals on being a legitimate source, but instead steals their confidential information. This attack is carried out through clickable URL links, telephone calls, emails, text messages, and many more. Making the use of coronavirus pandemic and playing with the feelings of people, the attackers are misleading them to click on malicious links. These links even portray taking a person to a genuine website, but they are rather a copy of the actual work that are made in order to steal valuable information. Humans ought to be the weakest links, and while they are at home, they are more relaxed and careless. Working from home is new to the employees who have always worked under surveillance cameras and desk setups. There are higher chances of such social engineering attacks while individuals are working from home. Our next topic is phishing. So, what do you think about the word phishing? How does it lead to the loss of data and information? Let's go ahead and learn about it in detail. There are different types of phishing attacks. Some of them are defined as follows. 1. Spear phishing. As the name suggests, this attack targets like a spear. It hits only specific individuals of an organization. For instance, the attackers carry out an attack on the chairman, president, or CEO and delude them, hence, succeeding in collecting the valuable information. One of the most common forms of spear phishing attack is called whaling. 2. Clone phishing. In this attack, the attackers replace the legitimate link and attachment with the malicious URL and attachment, keeping all the other things such as recipients to be the same. 3. Voice phishing. The victims are asked to call customer care numbers as they are deluded to have problems with their bank accounts. Once called, the individuals are lured to enter their personal details such as address, date of birth, and credit card information. 4. Email phishing. This attack is carried out by supplying the malicious URLs through emails. 5. Domain spoofing. It includes luring an individual and opening a website that appears to be legitimate, but in actual consists of a malicious payload. This payload secretly gets downloaded on the user's machine. The payload executes in accordance with the command and control server. It is a need for the various organizations to filter the most offensive and obnoxious content from being part of the work environment. This can be done by using web content filtering and browser security. There are various kinds of software programs implemented in order to filter the content online and from being a part of the company network. This includes the practices of blocking some of the content such as file and code sharing, social media, movie and media downloads from websites like torrents and pornographic content. Also, patching is must that is needed to be done in order to fix up the vulnerabilities. This procedure needs to be followed by every enterprise, time and again to stay protected. There exist some JavaScripts that in actual are worms that infect individual computers and hence take over the whole network of company devices. Browser security plays a crucial role in blocking such kinds of threats. It is advised to use firewalls and virtual private networks to tackle such situations from occurring. Working from home is not as simple as it sounds. All the content, from individual chats to discussions and meetings, needs to be moved online and taken proper care of. Moving content online is susceptible to attacks. It should be made sure that company emails are only sent to the intended users and not anyone external to the organization. Passwords to the webmails should be in accordance with the proper password-making guidelines in order to survive the brute force attack. Monitoring should be put into place for all the employees and whatever content is being shared in and out of the company network. If anyone is found guilty, their task needs to be recorded, analyzed or discarded based on the guidelines. What is meant by social engineering? How does the attackers make use of it to attain the valuable information? Social engineering is a type of attack where sensitive data and information is extracted from the most weakest links of the society, namely, humans. The attackers trick people to make mistakes in security by psychologically manipulating them. There are higher chances of social engineering attacks while individuals are working from home. One of the most common traps was to lure people to click on links leading to coronavirus updates in government websites. Most of the people are unaware of the scams that exist in the online world, and people get deluded to fill up forms with their personal information in order to receive free coupons and discounts. Once the sensitive and personal details are entered, social engineering criminals tend to blackmail people of their data and ask ransom in response. For instance, Google blocks about 18 million malicious coronavirus-related emails from our inboxes daily. The company also says that it blocks about 240 million spam emails generated every day. It has been found that Gmail's machine learning algorithm detects spam alerts on the inboxes with about 99.9% accuracy each day. Let's gain some knowledge on VPN or Virtual Private Network. What are its types and how does it help in the protection of confidentiality pillar of the CIA triad? Working remotely has many constraints to go through. Using company-owned devices would eliminate most of the problems, and regularly updating, patching the devices would secure the connections. Providing devices to the employees to work remotely, especially when the situation is temporary, would not be feasible to small businesses. Instead, they can use virtual private networks to connect to the company intranet from outside. Virtual private network allows a user to browse, transfer the data over the internet by creating a private channel, like a tunnel, and securely transferring the data through the tunnel. Basically, there exist two types of VPN. 1. Remote access VPN. As the name suggests, this type of VPN network is remotely accessed and from a remote site. Information flow and communication occurs through a channel or secure tunnel that connects the private network of the enterprise with the employee over the internet. This setup, being on the internet, is still private and inaccessible to unauthorized users. 2. Site-to-site VPN. A site-to-site VPN, also called router-to-router VPN, is mostly used with offices in different geographical locations. The site-to-site VPN is used to connect the network of one office location to the network at another office location. This type of VPN introduces a new term called intranet-based VPN, when multiple offices of the same company connect from multiple locations around the world. In a network security environment, a firewall is a system that is employed to control the incoming and outgoing traffic to the network. It acts as a barrier between the internal trusted network called intranet and the external untrusted network called internet. Firewall is based on a set of rules that are used to block and allow incoming and outgoing traffic, be it specific or non-specific, on a computer network. If any malicious activity is attempted on the network, firewall blocks the access of the same in accordance with the employed rules. There are mainly two types of firewall, namely, network-based firewall and host-based firewall. A network-based firewall is employed to protect the whole network from falling in a trap and getting affected by the malicious traffic. It runs on a network hardware and is basically employed for two or more networks. A host-based firewall is used on the internal network or private network of an organization. It is mostly used at the places where the intranet holds a large number of devices and maximum information. A firewall is classified as the following: packet filtering firewall. This type of firewall is used where the devices such as router and switch are connected. It is used to filter the malicious packets and only allow the legitimate packets to enter the network and reach the designated host. It checks for the IP address, destination port, type of packet and protocol headers. Stateful inspection firewall. This type of firewall examines each packet and also keeps the check on whether the packet is part of some network session or not. This type is slow in performance but is stronger at securing the organization and filtering the traffic. It can block the attacker if he or she is trying to exploit vulnerabilities or launch a distributed denial of service attack. The problem with this firewall is that a person needs to be highly skilled in order to configure, monitor and install the same. Application level firewall. This firewall is designed to block the attacks that are not openly detected. These attacks are launched from the modified applications that seem to be genuine and have been downloaded to the system. And circuit level firewall. This type of firewall is more efficient than the application level firewall. The performance of this firewall is fast. It commonly detects for the sensitive data and information that goes in and out of the intranet or the internal network. It only monitors the circuit rather than individual packet, leads to one of its disadvantages. Strong authentication is a method of confirming the identity of users and devices in order to allow them to be a part of the company's work environment. It is put in place to counter any future attacks launched on the organization. It is necessary to use this method and stay secured for longer periods of time. Single-factor authentication is the weakest methods of authentication, as it uses only a single component to authenticate someone's identity. This method does not help in the verification of a malicious identity and is mostly prone to attacks. Single-factor authentication is not recommended to be used for high-security sectors such as banking and finance, protection of integrity, availability and confidentiality of content. There are certain rules that are used for protection in this type of authentication. Some of them include password length should not be less than 8 characters long, password is needed to be changed in a period of every 90 days, password should be complex, and same password should not be used to create a new one. Still, this authentication method is prone to cyber attacks such as brute force and rainbow tables. Two-factor authentication or multi-factor authentication is needed for every sign-in, every banking and insurance account. Two-factor authentication can be known as using a secondary password or 4-digit code to authenticate login after your username and password are entered. While many consumers know two-factor authentication as something like SMS messaging post-login, many organizations, banks and government employers are moving into multi-factor authentication. It's as important to ensure that all the accounts are protected with strong passwords. Two-factor authentication and two-step verification involve an extra step to add a layer of protection to accounts. An additional step could be an email or text message confirmation or the use of biometrics, such as fingerprint scan or facial recognition, or something physical, such as a USB fob. Unfortunately, the same passwords are being used by people for many accounts. That means that all it takes is just a compromised password for an attacker to take over all of your accounts. They then use a leaked username password and attempt to access other online accounts. The employees of any organization should keep in mind that passwords should be unique for every account and should comprise a long string of upper and lower case, numbers, and special characters. It is difficult to remember all these passwords, which is why password managers are such popular tools these days. A password manager will do the following for you. Firstly, create, secondly, remember, and lastly, autofill passwords for you. KeePass and LastPass are two of the popular ones. Principle of Least Privilege (POLP). For meeting an integrity agenda, least privilege is of utmost importance. This principle says that the user should not be given more privilege than it is required to perform a certain task. Based on user's job necessity, the profile privileges are assigned. Here the main principle is to ensure that only those privileges are being assigned to the users which are necessary to perform an intended job, thereby restricting the user to domain with those privileges. For instance, if a user account is intended to create the accounts, he or she should not have the right to approve or edit the newly created account. This ensures better system security. The vulnerabilities in one application should not be used to exploit the rest of the applications in the machine or the machine itself. For example, running in user mode provides customers or users increased protection against unintentional system-level damage caused by malware, such as undetectable virus and spyware. Better system stability. Restricted rights applications will not have rights to perform certain actions that in turn could crash a certain machine or application. And ease of deployment. If the application has lesser privileges, then it's easier to deploy than in a big environment. Now, let's understand on how end-to-end encryption could be helpful in protecting the employer's data and information. End-to-end encryption is the type of encryption where the sensitive information stays between the communicating parties only. If a third party, it is unable to view the communicated data. There are two types of encryption methods, namely, symmetric encryption and asymmetric encryption. Symmetric encryption. As the name suggests, symmetric key encryption uses one key to encrypt and decrypt, the data being transferred between the sender and the receiver. The common key is then shared via another secure channel. This method of encryption is faster but less secure. Asymmetric encryption. This type of encryption method uses two different keys for both encryption and decryption of data. It is necessary to organize security awareness trainings and drills to teach the employees the losses an organization has to undergo if any major security breach occurs. The loss of data can sometimes lead to the crash of an entire business. For instance, ITIL certification should be made an eligibility criteria for selection into any company. The real-time drills are helpful in checking the readiness of employees in case of a security breach. Information Technology Infrastructure Library (ITIL). The ITIL certification is one of the globally recognized IT certifications which was being distributed by Excelos. In the field of its service management, this ITIL certification is an entry-level qualification. Information Technology Infrastructure Library is used as a command to help groups of people to improve the value of their service by focusing on resolving business issues rather than just improving its capabilities. Here the guiding principle is to mainly focus on the value, progress iteratively with feedback, think and work holistically, keeping it simple and practical, and optimize and automate. There are 5 stages of the ITIL lifecycle. 1. Service strategy. It is defined as understanding the organizational agenda and the requirements of the customers. 2. Service design. It includes turning service strategy into a plan for business objective delivery. 3. Service transition. Here, certain capabilities are developed and improved for the introduction of new services into the supported environments. 4. Service operation. This defines on how the services are managed in the supported environments. 5. Continual service improvement. The service incremental improvements and large-scale improvements are achieved. Security Information and Event Management is a protocol software tool which is used to avoid any incident. Commonly known as SIEM, it implements following steps to detect threats. First, it collects data from network devices, servers, domain controllers, etc. Secondly, normalizes and aggregates the collected data. Once that is done, it analyzes the data to discover the threats. And finally, it pinpoints the security threats. Implementing SIEM in small business organization enables features like basic security monitoring, advanced threat detection, forensics and incident response, log collection, normalization, notifications and alerts, security incident detection, threat response workflow, and many more. Because cybercriminals continue to work tirelessly to find ever more advanced ways of breaching security defenses, even the most security-conscious businesses remain at risk of an attack. Cyber liability insurance, sometimes short for cybersecurity, privacy, and media liability insurance, helps your company respond in the event of a cyber attack or data breach. If your network or computer systems are hacked into or corrupted by a virus, cyber liability insurance can be essential. It can also help you to limit the damage caused by a successful attempt to access your business data. Yet after knowing the importance of having cyber insurance, only 9% of UK businesses and 15% of US businesses have this type of insurance. Cyber insurance typically helps with notifying customers about a data breach, restoring personal identities of affected customers, recovering compromised data, and repairing damaged computer systems. U.S. research into the cost of data breaches has shown that in 2017, the global average cost of a single data breach event was United States $3.6 million. You can clearly see which industry are the most affected by the cyber events over time. Therefore, the losses that can be incurred from data breaches are best mitigated by investing in cybersecurity insurance. Following are some references that we used. Thank you for watching this video by Cyber Sergeants. We hope this video was resourceful for your business.